It's the Happy Families Podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
So my idea about tomorrow is there's some great advice on this podcast.
Listen to the Happy Families podcast. That they know what they're talking about. It helps.
And now here's the stars of our show, my mum and dad.
Kylie, am I allowed to start a podcast episode by saying how tired I am? Is that okay?
Can't be tired.
I'm
We've
exhausted.
just been on a holiday where we hardly did anything.
You think you're so mean to me. You think about what we've done since we got back.
Don't start.
There's been a book launch. The workload has been overwhelming. And for the last week, I've been in Launceston, I've been in Brisbane, and for the last 4 days, I've been in Perth working. Which
means you've got to sleep in your own bed.
No, I haven't. I've been in hotels.
No children to take care of. Your life sounds quite idyllic.
I have been running workshops all over Western Australia, from Bunbury, Mandurah, right through to Perth itself, and it's been amazing. But it's so nice to be able to talk to you about what I've done well as a parent this week.
I can't wait to hear it.
Since I left at the start of the week. I've had 4 hours at home this week. It's been really hard. So what we're going to do for I'll Do Better tomorrow, I'm going to do mine first because I think it's going to be pretty quick and pretty simple. But while I've been away, I've had some time to reflect. I've done a lot of publicity for my brand new book. As you know, we launched The Parenting Revolution last week. The book is now in bookstores everywhere. It's online. I'm getting text messages and emails from people who are saying that they've been reading it and they have been loving it. In fact, I just had a conversation in the last little bit with a journalist who had to read the book because she was interviewing me for the conversation about the book, and she just said she's got a 14-year-old. In the last year, they've been through absolute hell with diagnoses around ADHD, severe anxiety. Their world has been turned on its head, and she said reading the book was everything. She said, since I started reading the book, our whole family has changed, and I'm like, Viva la Revolution! I don't know how to speak French, but I was so excited. And so people are loving the book. But while I've been doing that, I had a chance to reflect. And the I'll Do Better tomorrow, for me, is actually about savoring the small stuff. So somebody asked me, what's the best part of being a parent? Because in the book, I talk a lot about how parenting is not associated with happiness. It's associated with feeling miserable. But the rewards are so big. And I'm at pains to point out that parenting is so rewarding. And somebody asked me, so what's rewarding about parenting for you? And I thought to myself, the list is so long, but we've got to be really attentive to take notice. And I thought one of the most wonderful sounds in the world for me is hearing one of our children call out my name. Just the privilege of being called dad or daddy. When they call me daddy, oh my goodness, it just melts my heart. About a week and a half ago, our 19-year-old stepped into the kitchen, said, "Hi, Daddy." And I just went, oh my goodness, this is the best. And just as my heart was about to fall into pieces, she said, "You're doing the dishes and no one's helping you. I love it when we get to talk together and do the dishes. Can I join you?" And I just thought, oh my goodness. And it's those moments where you just go, yes, it's so good. And the day before I left for the trip, another one that really stood out to me was our youngest, Miss Emily. I woke up at 4:00 that very morning and she was awake. She couldn't get to sleep. And she asked for the TV remote. And I said, you know what? I think it's a bit early for the TV. How about if you draw? And so while I sat down and did a whole lot of reading and a whole lot of work and had a really productive morning, she laid on the carpet beside me and she just drew. She drew this dragon, coloured it in, had such a great time. And I thought, this is heaven. This is just so perfectly beautiful. Saving those small moments. So that is my I'll Do Better tomorrow. Really appreciate the tiny things that we gloss over and take for granted so much because they're really special.
It's interesting as you're talking about all of that, just thinking about how so much of family life feels messy and murky and hard.
It is. Yeah.
And yet the really tiny experiences like you've shared give you maximum payback.
Oh, huge!
If that makes sense,
but you've got to be attentive to it.
Yeah, totally.
Just before we've recorded this conversation, when I stepped into the office, our eldest daughter was in the corridor. She's several months pregnant. She just happened to be right where I was as I was walking into the office. And she was on a phone call, but she just looked at me and smiled and said, "Morning." And there was something about that interaction. It was a 2-second interaction, but I walked into the office just going, connection, seen, heard, valued. This is what it's about. It felt so good. I love this stuff. So that's my I'll Do Better Tomorrow. Really pay attention to the small moments because there is so much joy right there. What's yours?
Well, we got a little bit of a kick up the bum a couple of weeks ago. We've been having a really difficult conversation with one of our children who is at a crossroads in life and trying to work out what she wants to do. And she's seeing all of her friends doing one thing and she's kind of going, I really like that and I want to do that. And we're looking at it and kind of going, I think that this is going to close a lot of pathways for you if you choose to do this.
You're speaking so abstractly. Can you be really concrete about it? I know that we haven't confirmed with our daughter that we can talk about this, but she's pretty cruisy. I think she'll be okay with it.
So our 19-year-old has started university this year, straight out of high school.
And she hates it.
And she's hating it.
And this is my thing, right? Gap years. I'm always going on about it. I'm a really, really big advocate for a gap year. I've been a university lecturer. I've seen these first-year students. Most of them, not all, but most of them shouldn't be there. They're not ready. They don't know what they want. They don't know what they're trying to do. It's just, it doesn't work.
Well, in her defence, she actually wanted to take a gap year, but after 8 weeks of finishing high school and floundering, not having a clue what she wanted to do, she was absolutely miserable.
Yeah, and she came to us and she said, I think I should go to uni. And of all of our kids, she's actually a really mature, really switched on kid. And I thought, if there's a single child that we've got that could do this, I reckon it's her. I also think our next one might be able to as well. But I said, you know what, go for it. You need something, do it. And I shouldn't have said that. I should have told her to do the gap year. Go and do a diploma somewhere. Go and get a job. Do something because it's not working out.
But unfortunately, her reaction is to just throw the towel in, give up, and travel the countryside in a combi van with a whole heap of friends with no way to pay.
She's like, I'm just going to
throw caution to the wind.
I'm just going to sleep on the roof in the campus swag thingo. I'll climb up the ladder. And I'm like, how are you going to live? She's like, I don't know. I'm like,
we'll just busk from town to town.
We'll busk. Going to be eating 2-minute noodles for the next 12 months.
So anyway, we were having a conversation and she wasn't happy with the things that we were sharing with her.
Because we said no. Well, we did. I mean, she's an adult. She can do whatever she wants, but we advised strongly against it.
Well, anyway, the next morning I turned on my podcast app and the first thing that came up was the episode we shared a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, the date was the 2nd. It was the 2nd of May, and we were answering a listener question about a mum who's got a 12-year-old who's not fulfilling his potential, and what do I do about getting my kid doing more at school? And the advice that we gave
was brilliant advice
for us.
We just weren't living it. So I listened to it and I kind of felt like I'd had an instant uppercut. And I came home from my morning walk and I went into our daughter's bedroom and I said, I need you to listen to today's podcast.
Oh, so you asked her to listen to the advice that we gave to another parent.
I did.
Right, that was brave.
I did. And I said, and once you've listened to it, I want you to think about the situation that we're encountering at the moment.
Yeah.
And how we might do better.
Right.
And she said, well, send me the link. And the next thing, I heard the podcast blaring out of her bedroom.
Right.
And she instantly listened to it. And the conversations that we're having are slow. But there is just an acknowledgement that there is nothing she can do that's going to change the way I feel about her. And
well, this goes back to our 3 most important words, right?
Yeah.
It's not I love you. It's no matter what.
After she'd finished listening, I just went into her room and I just looked at her and I said, you need to know that first and foremost, we just love you. We absolutely love you. And our concern for you is not that you'll do your best, but that you'll have a life that fulfills you. And from the vantage point that we have, we just recognize that the more open you leave your possibilities, the greater opportunity you have for that life of fulfillment. And so as a result of that conversation, we were able to kind of just look at the fact that we just need to get through another few weeks and she will have completed her first semester.
Yeah, semester 1's nearly done.
At which point she can either defer or at this point, she's actually looking at transferring over to an arts degree because she actually doesn't know what she wants to do.
That's my point.
She doesn't have a clue what direction she wants to take, and so she's floundering.
She did know, and this is the other critical thing here, Kylie. I know I'm interrupting your flow for a sec, but this is the critical thing for parents of older kids to remember. The kids can be absolutely set on a path. I want to be a dietitian. I want to be a speech pathologist. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a doctor. I want to be, in our daughter's case, an architect. And 4 weeks into uni, she's going, this is not what I signed up for. I don't like this. I don't want to do this.
But it's not that I don't like this. It's I don't like doing the drawings they're asking me to draw. I don't want to draw those buildings. I want to draw these buildings.
Well, there's that too. But there's a whole lot going on.
I don't want to study this subject. It doesn't make me excited.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's all preparatory and foundational for the skill set if that's the direction you want to take. And she's not ready to sit in that place.
No.
So, I encouraged her to go to university and to have the conversation she needed to have to make sure she had complete understanding of what needed to take place in order for her to do what she wanted to do. And she did that.
Yeah.
So now we've just got to get through the next few weeks. So my idea of tomorrow is there's some great advice on this podcast.
Listen to the Happy Families podcast. That they know what they're talking about. It helps.
But what I'm so grateful for is that we often know what we need to do, but we get so caught up in the emotion of the moment that we forget, or it's not our natural position to take.
I love this because so often I'll think to myself when we're struggling with one of our children, what's the advice that I would give to somebody else in that situation? But I can never quite think of what the advice would be. But you're right, that podcast really was useful for that specific issue. So funny and so
timely.
So timely. I love that. I'm going to take a different message from your story, and that is the power of those three most important words. When we talk to our children about meaningful things, about challenges, struggles, and problems, and we make sure that it's couched in an environment where they unmistakably know, not just that we love them, but we love them no matter what, it changes everything about the conversation. It creates a vulnerability and an openness that means that you get to talk about the kinds of things that most people don't normally talk about. It's profoundly important, and they're the stories that I love telling the most when I share stories about our own family in my presentations. And I don't share as many as I used to, but the no matter what stories, they're the ones that I love the most. They're the ones that connect with people the most. They're the ones that make people cry. And they're the ones that tap people into the stuff that they know that they need to be doing with their kids other than listening to this podcast to get great advice. So that's our I'll Do Better Tomorrow. We hope that it helps you to do better tomorrow in your parenting. Thank you so much for being an intentional parent, a parent who wants to really engage with the process of raising your children well. We hope that today's episode has been useful and that it's given you a bunch of ideas that can make your family happier. Thank you for joining us. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. We have Craig Bruce as our executive producer. And if you'd like more information about making your family happier, please join us in the Happy Families membership. We don't talk about it much on the podcast, but our members love what we do. They love the way they get the ongoing calm assurance and evidence-based ideas for making their family happier. You will love the membership. It's available at happyfamilies.com.au. Hope to see you there.